Referring to ultra-low latency sports, tell us a little bit about, I mean, obviously that's becoming ever more important from the standpoint of user experience. When we had these massive audiences build overnight for an event, that, you know, a lot of these systems have stumbled in trying to handle all that. So what is it that you're bringing to the table here with getting past some of those issues?
What we specifically address here as part of our Origin server product is that we minimize the latency, and that is the latency from point of ingest until we can consume the video on the other side. And we demonstrate here that we bring it down to basically the length of a segment, which is typically 2 seconds. If you do that using a traditional Origin server, then you would get maybe half a minute just from Origin ingest to play at. And then if you would feed through a third-party CDN, that would add another 25 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So you would end up with a 1 minute latency if you consume the same content on an iPad compared to on your TV set. And we think that becomes prohibitive for many of the sports services that people want to launch. So we decided that we wanted to do something about that, and so we did. And I can mention one specific application which is even more demanding. It's the sports betting services, where you can imagine that if you have latency, then it's not the functioning betting service anymore. And we won a quite substantial contract with a customer for the specific reason that we could reduce the latency to the numbers that we can.
What kind of customer? You mean a sports network
It's a sports betting service,
literally a sports
which is today over satellite, and they are going to distribute over IP.
That's very interesting. One other thing, I just want to touch on this because I know this is another piece of what needs to be done that isn't necessarily being done very well, which is the collection of the data off of all the devices, off the user experience, and then being able to parse that data. Now, you guys aren't in the analytics business per se.
Well, not quite. That's not how we see ourselves.
Yeah. So how do you make the analytics work better? I guess is the question.
Well, we basically cut the problem at the source. The problem, if you go into the world of adaptive streaming, is that you stream small clips that are requested out of a system somewhere, and neither the clips that you request nor the actual request of those clips is seen as something that belongs together. You just see them as individual clips. So it's very hard to correlate two requests to see that they belong to the same session, or to correlate two clips and say that they belong to the same asset.
It's just ridiculous.
And that's a big problem. But by introducing what we have a virtual session concept and an understanding of the underlying asset, also when we look at individual clips, it enables us to, from the source, i.e. the delivery servers, the caches, we can send very little data to actually log that something has happened. We can compress the amount of logging information by at least 2 orders of magnitude.
So it sounds like you're just registering what happens when it changes.
Exactly.
You're not just catching all those back and forth ABR requests.
Exactly. And in that manner, we then log these entries into our database that we use to keep track of everything else that's happening. And then we can produce very powerful information about the sessions and about the use of the assets, etc.
Are you starting to break that up in any ways that go into the analytics engines or for specific purposes, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, today we think it's relevant to offer a light form of analytics which is real time. So I don't see that we directly compete against people who focus on analytics, because they produce analytics in a more batch-oriented mode, and they extract much more information than we do. But we see a definite need for the operators to be able to see content analytics at the level that we provide as well. And then we couple that with network analytics and network monitoring, which keeps track of the use of the network resource as such, and how much we stream from each point of ingest, and how much we ingest and how much we pay out, and so forth. And that gives you a fairly holistic view of how your service behaves in your network. And that we think is very important for our customers.
Clearly. One last question, and I'll let you go, and that is, this is a self-contained, scalable system, end-to-end. How does it integrate with all the other things that are out there, from the transcoding side, from the back office side, from the service management side, all the things that have to make this work in a typical environment?
Over the years, we've done a large number of integrations with various other companies in this field. We don't have the intention to build set-top boxes or set-top clients and other things. We are a very focused company. So we have to be able to be open and flexible when it comes to dealing with other companies and other partners. And we have today a large number of APIs that support the various ecosystem vendors that you will see in the marketplace, and also some of the few, I would say, standards that are around, because this is not a very well standardized field.
Well, Joachim, I imagine that this market, now that it's ready to move, is going to find the merits in this. I think it sounds pretty compelling.
I'm sure you're right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fred.